Okay, welcome. Doing a very quick live stream about a vaccine duress letter. A lot of people are being offered a vaccine at the moment, and remembering under the rules of commerce, which we are under, everything that is given to us is in fact an offer, and offers can be handled several ways. There are 4 ways, in fact, to handle an offer, 2 that are honourable and 2 that are dishonourable. Those ways that are honourable are a full acceptance. It's to say, sure, no problem, happy to do that. That's a full acceptance. So if an employer or an educational facility that you study at were to offer you to receive an injection of some kind before coming back, well, you could say, sure, no problem at all, happy to do that. That's called a full acceptance, and that's deemed honourable. There is another way that is honourable, and that's a conditional acceptance. And a conditional acceptance can also be known as a negotiation, such as, you've got to get a jab before you can return to work or this educational facility, and you can say, sure, no problem, happy to do that. Sounds the same as that full acceptance, but it's based on certain conditions, such as, you can show me that I'm bound by law to do that, that you have a source of authority to offer that you have a medical qualification in order to be able to offer a medical procedure, and that you could even ask for proof that I have received an injection of some kind because, hey, is that not my private, personal medical information? And then, if I have to show that, where's the law? How am I bound to do that? Because aren't you asking for something that's private and therefore attempting to breach privacy? So you could say, sure, happy to do it on condition that A, B, and C. That's called a conditional acceptance. Also very honourable, an honourable way to deal with an offer of some kind. There are 2 ways that are very dishonourable. One is silence. So if you're given the offer of having an injection of some kind to then return to work or study, well, if you just let it go, if I just ignore that, maybe it'll go away, that's deemed dishonourable. And you actually, by a process called assent, you unconsciously agree. Assent is different to consent. Consent being a conscious decision to agree, which would be your full acceptance or your conditional acceptance. But assent is a legal term that means an unconscious decision to agree. Or to put it another way, silence is acquiescence. So we want to make sure we don't remain silent when we're given an offer. The other way that is deemed dishonourable in commerce is to refuse. Refuse, argue, be belligerent, anything along those lines. So we don't want to just outright refuse. So it is very highly recommended that if you are given an offer of any kind to receive a medical procedure of any kind or wear a medical apparatus of any kind, that you handle it honourably, and that is to remain in communication. So for those that aren't particularly aware of how to write their own letters or notices, Heal Me, who I've partnered with recently, have got a automated process by which you can send off a letter of response. So you're remaining honourable by keeping the communication channels open, which is what happens in commerce. We negotiate, and that keeps things honourable. So you can certainly do this off your own bat, of course. It's very relatively simple to pen together a nice response to any offer, whether it be for vaccines or anything else. Relatively easy. A lot of people though don't really have the confidence to do that, and to be honest, it's not worth hiring somebody who has professional skill in this to do it for you, because A, you're not really learning to do it yourself, you're kind of putting it in someone else's hand, and B, it's not that hard. It's not worth paying hundreds of dollars for someone to pen you a letter. And people are a little bit desperate at the moment, so they're kind of willing to do that. But I'm telling you, it's actually not that hard. So I find that this, from what I've done it myself, just to download it and have a look, and it's pretty much 5 pages of savagery. It's really well put together. It's actually put together by the AFL lawyer team. So it's a really well written letter. I think it would do a nice job for those that aren't capable or willing to do it themselves. So I'm just going to show you how to do that, which is really quite easy. So the first thing we do here, this is the, see if I can turn this thingy around. I'm pretty sure I can. There we go. This is it. It's a vaccine duress letter. So the URL to go to is this: healme.health/vaccine-workplace-duress. So healme.health vaccine dash workplace dash duress. So what you've got here is this vaccine duress letter. So basically what you do is, if you're not a member of Heal Me, you can just put in a $5 donation and then you can get your documents. If you are a member, it's free for members. And then what you do is when you get to the next one, it's just this. You just fill out your details and then it will pre-fill everything for you. So it's filled out the right way. So very handy. The other thing, I'm just going to show you what it looks like. This is what it looks like. So it's pre-filled properly. You've got a number of very, very well-written elements to this. So it is written in a legal manner. There's plenty in here to support everything that's written. And it's done in a way that's, I think anyway, because I've read right through it, I think it's done in a very, it's not too heavy-handed, but it's very firm. So as I said, 5 pages of savagery. And then you just have to sign the bottom. But that's basically it. So if you are not quite comfortable doing that yourself and you're freaking out a bit and you're wondering what you can do, I don't even know if I can prop that back up again, then I would recommend doing that. It's as I said, it's free for members on Heal Me, and then it's only a $5 donation for those that aren't. So if you're looking for a solution, I think that's a nice little middle ground there for those that are not yet proficient or confident or comfortable in doing their own responses. But remember, you can't remain silent on these issues because it is deemed that you will assent and you will acquiesce. It's called acquiescence by silence. So please, if you are being offered anything of any kind of this nature, make sure that you keep communication open. You're in the honorable way of responding, which is conditional acceptance, negotiation, that realm. Remaining honorable, and then things will work out a lot better for all.
This is sort of the hot topic of the day right now. This is all you hear is my employer saying I got to be vaccinated or they're going to terminate me. Yeah, first, here's the scary thing of what you said is I don't know if they do know it's illegal. I know there are factions of the group that knows it's illegal, but a lot of the people you're dealing with are button pushers, and they really don't know what is legal and what is not legal. And you know, they get these jobs and they're told, here's your job. You do this and you do that. And they just like automatons, they just go through the process and follow. So like, I know a gentleman very successful with this stuff. And he said, don't think those people know anything. They don't have no clue what they're doing. Most of those people you're dealing with. And I think that's the same with the frontline people that we're dealing with, especially the employers and stuff. I don't know if they really know what they're doing is illegal. And to bring it just to the basics, like when you get a job, we were just talking about this, you have either an employment agreement or you have a contract. If you're working for a little guy, you probably have a contract. You know, you work for a roofer or something, you might sign a private contract with him. But if you're working for a big corporation, you probably have an employment agreement, which is basically it's a one-sided agreement in a way. You sign, but it's under the guise that they're going to, you know, you're going to provide service to them and they're going to do certain things too to compensate you for your labor. So it all comes down to whether it's a contract or an agreement. There's 5 basic elements to a contract or an agreement, and you need to understand what these are. One's the offer. Somebody offers you, hey, I have this job for you. You know, do you want the job? You accept it. So you have offer, acceptance, and there's consideration. Your labor for their money, basically, in return. There's consideration. Then you have a meeting of the minds. Hey, listen, you know, here's the meeting of the minds. You show up to do the job adequately, and we'll pay you. You know, that's the meeting of the minds, you know, and in the meeting of the minds, we'll get into, listen, when you take a job, you don't take a job saying, hey, I'm taking this job, but, you know, hey, maybe you're going to stick needles in me in the future, you know, that's not a job you would have basically taken without that first discussing that. So right off the bat,
what we're really talking about, the meeting of the minds for most people, right, is just like, okay, how many weeks of vacation do I get? How many hours? If I work overtime, do I get paid extra? Are you going to expect me to do that? Right. It's like the things that you would expect to be related to actually doing the work of a job.
Right, in a standard employment agreement. Not you're going to turn into my doctor, or you're going to start medically testing me, or make me a subject of a vaccination.
Right. Now,
up front. Hey, listen, we're going to drug test you, and you could say, hey, I'm not going to take this job. They didn't bring this in after you took the job, and they turn around after you're working there for 3 years and say, hey, we have this new policy. We're going to drug test you. And oh, by the way, we're going to test you for AIDS and tuberculosis and syphilis. And, we're just going to, where does that end? Why COVID? Why not tuberculosis? Why not AIDS? Why not anything else? So, and the bottom line is
coming.
Oh, yeah, I don't doubt it. And it's another thing people don't understand about contracts. You and I, Dr. Kaufman, we can contract about anything we want as long as it's legal, okay? And the government's excluded from anything you and I contract to. They're excluded from as long as it's legal, okay? But me and you can't contract about robbing banks. I can't say, hey, Andrew, this week you rob 3 banks, next week I'll rob 3, and at the end of the week we'll split the money up. Like that's not a legal element of a contract, okay? But that's really
not that we were planning to do that. Okay, please.
No. So if there's any money missing, it's this guy here. but no, it's not a legal element of an agreement or a contract. Okay, so not only is it not a legal element of a contract, it's a breach of the contract. Because like you were talking about, when you took your job, it's about how many weeks vacation you get, how much sick leave you get, that what time you have to be in, what time you clock out. Never was it about, hey, listen, we're going to change, we're going to move the goalpost here, and now you got to wear a mask, and you got to let us test you, and oh, by the way, we're going to need proof of vaccination, or we're going to have to terminate you. Well, now they've not only breached their contract, number one, they've now added an illegal elements to the agreement. The testing's illegal, the vaccination's illegal, because we were just talking about this before the show. Listen, the definition of battery is unwanted touch. If I came up to you on the street and stuck a needle in your arm and shot some stuff in your arm, you're going to punch me in the head and you're going to call the cops. That's a battery, okay? Well, that's pretty much the same thing they're doing at work when they're saying, hey, listen, if you want to keep your job, you got to let this other person with this medical license batter you. It's a ridiculous claim to make somebody suffer a crime, because now we get into
Well, and also I just want to point out, because what you're saying applies whether any of these products are approved by the FDA or if they're just given the experimental emergency use authorization status, correct?
Yeah, I mean, but it's like with any vaccine, they'll never give you 100% guarantee that it's safe. And what have they done with these companies? They've exempted them from a lot of the liability.
Yeah.
So nobody could. Yeah, if nobody could give you a guarantee, it's not like they're saying, hey, Dr. Kaufman, if you want to work here, you got to wear cream khaki pants, okay? Because that's a cosmetic thing. That's not altering your DNA or making you suffer a battery. So they got to have. It's fine if they have like things like that are negotiable. They're minuscule. But when you're talking about limiting somebody's oxygen intake with a mask, which is not healthy. And I've heard that these masks basically don't even meet the OSHA standards for the amount of oxygen you're supposed to take. And I think it's under 19% or something.
Yes,
they don't even meet those standards. So, and I actually know people that have gotten sick, and they said it was COVID. I don't know if it is or not, but they said, but here's what I think is going on. I don't know. I think it's bacterial pneumonia, because they're running around with these masks on all day.
Right.
And like I said, that's nowhere when you took that original job, that initial meeting, did you have a meeting in the minds that they were going to turn around and say, hey, we got to let us vaccinate you in order to keep your job. You never had a meeting in the minds. So if anything, they're in breach of that contract, and now they're basically taking an illegal element and they're trying to make it part of the contract. They're adding new elements to they can't even add a legal element to that contract, to that agreement, without your consent, because you took that job under a set of guidelines. They can't just keep like me and you can't have a contract and every 3 months I decide I'm going to change the terms of our contract. I'm going to throw some new element in at you. You're going to go, hey, Alphonse, hold on a second. We got an agreement here. You can't move the goalpost. We got a set thing of terms that we agreed upon. You don't get to keep adding things. And this is what they're doing. And Jessica, I mean, she's right there. That she's the textbook case of what they've done with people that won't follow the guidelines of what they want you to do.